Okay, I brought this deck along with me because I really wanted to do a walkthrough, because I don't tend to shuffle things until I've done a walkthrough, because I don't particularly love putting things in order, back in order again. And so I grabbed this to come with me so that I could do a walkthrough of it and then be able to use it. So if you followed my channel long enough, you probably know that I love cartomancy. And for me, again, this is a personal delineation, because all things using cards are cartomancy, right? But for me, cartomancy is its own special. We have tarot, which is a particular system. It is cards, but it's a particular system. We have oracle, which is a system that comes out of cartomancy, right? Well, all of things come out of playing cards. That's key, but we're not going to do a lesson here. But we have oracle, which in the modern sense, I would look at more like oracle. I'm just trying to grab something here. You know, oracle cards, like these larger cards that we might pull a card or two or three, or one for a message, right? These bigger oracle cards as we see now, right? That's kind of its own section for me. And then cartomancy for me generally are smaller decks, right? Playing card size decks that are more in what I would call fortune teller style things, like Lenormand, Kipper, Sibylla, playing cards themselves, like just using playing cards themselves. Those types of decks for me are cartomancy, and that's where my heart really resides, right? So yeah, so I am always, so I was excited when I saw this was a Kickstarter. Now I believe, and please don't quote me on this, but I believe this was out at one time, and then it went out of print, and then it came, the Kickstarter, which was just probably last year. This says 2021, so maybe longer. But the Kickstarter, I feel like it was another edition of that came out, and then it came out with a dark version as well. I just got this because I tend to have a harder time seeing the darker, smaller decks like that, so I decided to just go straight with the clarity version of the deck. I think that is correct. Again, do take that with a grain of salt. Now, this is the deck, obviously. It does come with a little white booklet around the size of the deck of cards itself. When I grabbed this to bring with me, I did not bring that with me, but I did email the creator to see if he could get, and sent him a picture saying, I do have your deck, if he had a PDF of it that he could give to me so that I could reference it, and he did. So this does come with a booklet that has, and I'll show you on when I get to the card parts, I'll show you kind of what you get with that, with I have it up here on my iPad. So yeah, so I'm excited to take a look at. I love this style of deck. I love, again, cartomancy style reading. Fortune telling is a descriptive that isn't overly appreciated, I think, anymore, and sort of more gives an image of more of the trickstery fortune telling that we might think about, you know, somebody in a tent somewhere kind of doing, you know, telling your fortune in a way that you know, doesn't give you any choice and abdicates responsibility, and this is going to happen, and you know, you're fated for this to happen, right? We have all these connotations of fortune telling now, but I love that feel of this sort of old style cartomancy that's really a bit no nonsense in its reading, the flavor of its reading, and I just love anything that's combined with playing cards. So super stoked that this came back out. Now at the beginning of the guidebook, he has a quote by Carl G. Jung that says, "Your perception will become clear only when you can look into your soul." So it's this idea of looking inward to gain that perception that you need outward. And he writes, "In the past, a cartomancer was perceived as a strange character using a deck of cards for divination, a fortune teller. But today's cartomancer is no longer a character. The 21st century cartomancer is you," right? And so really, you taking that and utilizing it. Now, this is really tied into archetypes, and said I say he, and that is so wrong to do because I'll say they. I don't know why I think that it's a he, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go, because I don't know that for sure, so I'm going to say they. These cards emerge from their interest in creating an illustrated deck of cards that has some of the Jungian concepts in it, and also mirrors their fascination with French cartomancy like Lenormand, Sibylla, and things like that. So that is not too surprising. And then it focuses on vintage engravings, and because of he puts a note, or they put a note in here that says, "As a tribute to the people who have gotten their hands dirty with ink creating the engravings used in this deck, I've made the suit symbols with fingerprints." And again, there are two versions of the deck. This is Clarity, and the other one is called Shadow. And so the one that I'm looking at today is the Clarity deck. So the suits in this deck, I know you're just staring at this box, but I just want to go over these main things here. The suits in this deck, now the one thing I have done is reordered because I like them. Playing cards, when you get playing cards, they come, let me get the extra cards here. Oops, wrong way. They come through ace, through the king and queen, ace through king and queen, and then it starts king and it goes the other way. I've put them into ace, king, queen order all the way through because that's just how I like to look at them. But that's the only thing I've done with that. So we'll come back to the deck. The back is gorgeous. Here's our card. I don't know if this is Alan or Elaine, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that, so you can see that yourself. Alain. Benoit, I'm gonna guess, but that could also be wrong. So, I love to slaughter people's names. So there you can see that yourself. You can look, their website is cartomancercards.com, and anything like probably Instagram would be Cartomancer, at Cartomancer Cards. Again, I purchased this deck myself through the Kickstarter. So you can see, hopefully, see how the spade, you can see the fingerprint here. So that's what he's talking about. But spades are, he's associated the suits to Jung's concept of the four fundamental ways we perceive and interpret reality. So the diamonds he has, or they have associating with childhood and sensation. The spades are with early adulthood and thinking. The hearts are with midlife and our intuitions. And the clubs are late adulthood and feeling. So really, if we, let's do this. Let's take the diamonds, because that is childhood, and then into the spades for early adulthood, into the hearts for the midlife, and into the clubs for late adulthood, but then also with sensation, thinking, intuition, and feeling. And so that's what the aces, and they actually have that on the aces. So we have sensation on the ace of diamonds, thinking on the ace of spades, intuition on the ace of hearts, and feeling on the ace of clubs. The other pip cards, so the 2 through 10, are illustrated with concepts experienced during those periods of life, with 10 being that ultimate. I love that it's the ultimate card there. But we have sensation, innocence, faith, family. So these are things of that time period. Well, obviously, we're going to look through them, so I don't want to go through them all. But the face cards, the jacks, kings, and queens, are the people involved in the concepts that were emerging from the pip cards. The jacks are said to be children announcing something that is new. We'll look at the ace of diamonds. The jacks are children announcing something new to come. And the queens are the mothers of the domain of emotions and usually bring some elements that are unseen by others. This card is stunning. And the kings are fathers of the corporeal world. And so we have that. I have peeked at these. I am sad that the King of Spades is the chief of wickedness. I'm not saying that the Spades can't be of wickedness, but I would have loved most of them are a little more neutral, that they can go either way, whereas the chief of wickedness kind of is stuck with wickedness. But I will just read him more like the King of Spades. And his shadow aspect would be the chief of wickedness. But I do like the image; it's awesome. So that's sort of the concept of his cards. Now, he talks about how this is inspired by French cartomancy, so it can be read very similar to Lenormand. And the most important factor, he says in the booklet, is making sure of how do you see when there are two cards coming together, right? So making sure that you are utilizing those combinations that we see in cartomancy. They also did note that directions are certainly there. Look where they're facing. Turtle, things are certain things are moving upward, certain things are moving downward, and that's something that you can also pay attention to. So, also notes with cartomancy that obviously the card's meaning is fixed in some degrees, but it is affected by the cards next to it, whether it's facing it, a positive connection, or facing away from it, as would be more of a negative connection. Obviously, you can read your cards however you read them, but he does give you some great cartomancy ideas here, and then also says in the end, go with your gut. When you see those cards together, what is that reactionary feeling that you get out of them? So I really liked that. I know I spent a little time there and you can't even see it, but I really liked the opening here. Oh yeah, it does say he signs it, or they sign it, and it does say it was initially February of 2018, revised November 2021. So I have waited a while to open these. I tuck it away in a drawer, I think, and then I forget that I have them. Anyway, I don't know when they were actually finished with the Kickstarter and came out, but there you go. But I really like the opening. It really leans into the name, which is the Cartomancer, and it feels like, and obviously we have the Archetypal, so we know that's there, but it feels very much like it says that it is. So I love that. It feels like really good linen poker cardstock, which is what I love. People, I'm so sorry to keep saying this, but if you're making a playing card size deck of cards, make sure they are playing card stock, right? It is if you pull tarot size stock down this small, it gets so hard to shuffle because there's just no flex to it because it's so small and so thick. So I'm so happy to have, and again, I know there are wonderful decks that do that, and I will still love their decks, but if you're making a poker or a playing card size deck of cards, use playing card stock, please. Please, please, please. This seems beautiful. I will obviously give it a shuffle at the end. So then obviously it goes into giving you have right on the card itself. Let's zoom in a little bit further. Well, let me just show you, I guess, this real quick. And it's very hard, I know, to show on a screen. screen. This is again a booklet, an actual booklet that you get. I just want to at least be able to see. You have, going all the way through with the Ace of, Diamonds is sensation, and that is on the Ace of Diamonds card. It says sensation, experiencing the world through your senses, something that you can see, hear, taste, smell, or touch, the potential of the new. So it gives you like a key understanding of where we're going with that card. And then it, and then it obviously goes on to the court cards here. I love the imagery that we're having here. And again, this would be in a little booklet form. So I just wanted to show you that. In my opinion, this is all that you need to tap into, because you want to just stay, keep open, dive into what these cards mean to you and how it feels like it reacts in the moment of doing the reading. There is a red and a black joker, which is something that I actually like, because that's often used in cartomancy. And so, and sometimes like you'll see a red dog, black dog card in folk cartomancy. And so you can utilize those. They have unconscious and conscious. Sometimes you have, where one is a kind of a wild card in a positive way and a wild card in a negative way. There's different ways in which people utilize jokers. I don't use jokers in cartomancy, but I like that they're there. And then there's also a extra card with a man card and a woman card. Obviously, these are common in fortune-telling style decks like Lenormand and Kipper and Sibylla, and so you could shuffle these in, shuffle, find what's on either side of the querence card, and be able to use it as the querent card, which is what they are. And they generally don't have any other meanings in a fortune-telling decks. We ascribe some often in a modern context, but they really are just, the querent that we're reading for, either ourselves or somebody else, and whoever is significant to them, right? And so those are offered as well as extras that you can put in or not. And then this, I think, was probably, I'm assuming because it was a Kickstarter, was my sign card. Absolutely love Mother of Time, and happy to have that one as my signed card there. So those are the extra cards that are there. Okay. So let's go back here, or let me zoom in before we look through the cards. Okay, so there's nothing that I don't, and I often will hold these smaller decks because they just start to slide all over the place. But so I apologize because I know some people don't love it, but there's nothing I don't love about the visuals of this deck. I love the engraving look that we can see. It's again got a keyword here in 2 languages. I'm guessing French. I am not up. Let me see if it says in the guidebook, but he's talking about French, or they're talking about French cartomancy, so I am assuming that it is French, but that could be entirely wrong. I don't know if it says, and I don't know that I would know enough to be able to say that is. So I'm not going to say definitively. I am only guessing French simply because it's inspired by French cartomancy. So take that again with a grain of salt. You'll be able to obviously see, and some of you, I'm sure somebody will say in the comments what that is. So we're going to start with diamonds. Diamond is the suit, and it's a suit of clarity. It says suit diamond clarity. It has a theme of sensation. The period of life is childhood, and its overall element is earth. And there's a little paragraph about the suit, which I like. This is a suit of sensation, of our perception of the world through our senses, associated with the element of earth and our relationship to the environment. And I really like that. Obviously with childhood, that's where we are trying to figure out and sort out about our relationship and how we interact with the world. So it's represented by the beginning of life or childhood, and the basic themes like faith, family, nature, pain, and then culminates with separation, right? Because we have to move towards independence versus dependency. So that's really interesting there. Okay, let me make sure I've got this set where you can see. So here we have sensation, innocence, faith, family, love the house here, nature, persona. That one's interesting. Your personality that you project to others. What are you projecting out, the outward? I love that. Pain, obstacle, like we need these kinds of cards. I love it. Opportunity, kind of love the artwork. And then the separation here with the balloon. It's so interesting because you have this turtle shell, which is home, but then there's this movement of it being a balloon. So having to take our and go outward and away as well and gain independence. So bringing your home with you is also pretty cool. So then we have the morning herald for the Jack. We have the stunning, probably my favorite visual, although I like a lot of them, but a stunning visual with the Mother Earth, and then the Chief of the Earth here, and you can obviously see they're set. They're not looking at each other. They're both looking in the direction of left, which I think was looking positively. So that's what we have. I'm going to keep these out to compare with the others. I'm actually going to keep the aces out too, and we'll come back to those in a minute. So then we move to the, suit clarity. I was trying to say, why is clarity there? Suit clarity is spades. The theme is thinking. The period is early adulthood, and the element is air. And it's early adulthood themes they talk about of discovery, crossroads, turmoil. And it actually concludes with the champion kind of coming to full understanding through our challenges. Spades are often challenging cards. And so that in Cartomancer, and so that makes sense. So we have thinking, we have discovery, again, love the artwork, travel, crossroads, desire, turmoil, foolishness, put your foot in your mouth, introspection, which you probably should utilize. But you know what? The first time you really put your foot in your mouth, you learn to think about things a little bit more. Anima. There is an anima and an animus. Obviously, it would be strange if that was not the case. But the anima is about getting in touch with your emotions, thinking about your emotions and sharing those emotions, right? So actually putting some thought work to your emotions there. So we have the anima, and then we have the animus. I'll leave that one out because obviously that's a set. And then the culmination then is a champion, kind of learning from your struggles. And then we have the, so that's with the 10. So then the Jack is the herald of discovery, the Queen is the queen of desire, and the King is the chief of wickedness. Let's just see what it says. But the poor King of Spades, I love King of Spades energy. Person who defies the establishment and questions convention. Okay, see, that I can go with. That to me is very King of Swords, King of Spades. I guess it's just the chief of wickedness. I know somebody and love somebody who is the King of Spades. So I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of not quite, but definitely a person who defies the establishment and questions convention. A maverick, an inventor, an intrepid, why can I never say that word? We're going to skip it. A troublemaker. This all does actually fit. So I will, wickedness, we can think chief of wickedness. Sometimes that's a lot of fun. That's not always bad. So anyways, that's the court of the suit of spades. When we get to the hearts, the theme is intuition, the period of life is midlife, and the element is water. So definitely associating the elements as I do to playing cards. This is a suit of intuition. It is themes such as love, commitment, and ends with harmony at the final conclusion. I really like the tens as being called cumulative, right? That is what a 10 should be, and so that makes me so happy. So we have the intuition of the ace. We have love. Like, that is such a beautiful old style love card, isn't it? We have foresight with the playing cards there. I love. We have creativity, parenthood. Again, that doesn't have to be just of children, right? What are we birthing? What are we nurturing? Protection, uncertainty, instinct, animus to go with the anima and the animus combined together. So we have both those. And for animus, they have getting in touch with your logical thinking, a situation that should be evaluated with rational thinking instead of emotion. Of course, which were tied to masculine ideologies in old style cartomancy, as emotions would have been ascribed to feminine, but obviously we now know in a modern sense that those things are in equal measures on all of us, regardless of gender, and certainly along the spectrum of gender. So then we have the 10 going to harmony. Our Jack is the herald of the heart. Love this image. Absolutely beautiful. The queens are really gorgeous. We have the Queen of Love here. We'll look at, again, the courts in a second. But we have the Queen of Love, and then we have the family chief here in the king. So that's our courts there. That brings us to the clubs, which are the theme of feeling. This is late adulthood and is associated with fire, and themes that are beyond emotions and thoughts, beyond the physical plane, and sort of moving from there. So we have feeling in the ace. We have ego in the 2 of clubs. We have existence, time, right? These are concepts outside of feeling, outside of thinking, outside of the physical world, and it's kind of going that step beyond. Time, fate, anger, shadow. Like, look at that. That is so gorgeous. I love my playing card decks to keep the configuration of the pips, but this is clearly a Cartomancy fortune-telling style deck, and so I do love this play with the pips that we see here. Self-actualization with the 8 makes sense. Psyche, 9 with the psyche. 10 with transcendence. So that ultimate cumulative of the suit is transcendence. And then we have Herald of the Night, Mother of Time, and Chief of Eternity here. So let's look at, let me scroll back out a bit here, but not so far that we can't see well. Extra cards, extra cards. So here's our aces, which give us the overall theme. Okay, let's do this. I know, we're just, now comes where I just like to play. But let's get the 10s too, because the 10s are the culmination of the whole journey that the suit takes. Again, I love this type of thinking. It makes me so, so, so happy. I like a new, tarot deck, with the best of us, right? But what really excites me is stuff like this, where people are really thinking through kind of new ways to approach something. It just makes me happy. So we have sensation as the beginning, right, in the main theme, and then there's, the pips are moving its way to the 10, which leads to a separation and independence. We have thinking here, but we also have processing and learning and thinking through challenges and things like that, which leads to a champion energy. We have intuition and all of the realm of feelings, good feelings, bad feelings, and in between, and learning to navigate, right, our feelings and coming to a culmination where we can bring harmony to our feelings. Or to our instinct, sorry, intuition, instinct, but we also have a lot of relational type thing, energies in the hearts, and bringing all that to harmony. And the feeling, sorry, is in with the clubs, and working through all of these sort of things that are outside emotions, outside of the mind, outside of the physicality of things, and then leading us to transcendence there is really beautiful. So I love this because it's an actual trajectory here that we see it with that culmination in the 10s. So that makes me so happy. Absolutely love that. Again, we talked about the anima and the animus. With the court cards, again, we have all of the, oops, let's see. Let's do this. We have all of the jacks being those youthful heralds that we saw talked about. So we have children here. We have 2 males and 2 females with the jacks here. And then we have the mothers are just, let's just take a moment to look at the mothers. I think the queens are really gorgeous. Well, I guess we'll move them up and be able to fit the kings in. And then we have the king, the chief of eternity, the chief of the earth, the chief of wickedness, or just, outside the box there and thinking. And then we have the family chief here. So that's what we have with the court cards. And again, the jacks are heralding in the new energy here. We have a mix of cultures in the kings and the queens. We don't really see that in the jacks. That would have been nice just to see that echoing that. I think they're working with old style woodcuts, so it may have been hard to find children that way, but we do see a little bit of that there in the court cards. So we have that. Okay, let's now give them a shuffle. It definitely, visually, everything about it feels like, and I found a deck that was, put out a while back, right? It doesn't feel new. I don't say that as a derogatory in any means. That's a positive. Like, it feels like I've stumbled on an old deck, right? That does have, that feel of it, which I love. Again, you could shuffle in, for example, I like to do this with Cartomancy style things, but you could shuffle these in. If you're just doing, if you're reading for one person, I don't think it really matters. But if you are, if you want to do it in a particular style of reading, let's say you are reading for yourself, so I'm reading for me, I could shuffle in, and then I really like with Cartomancy going through, Lenormand, anything like that, and going through and finding and seeing, okay, well, what cards are, I didn't obviously shuffle that, but see what cards are on either side of the querent, and that's a fun way to read. I don't think I'll be shuffling them in, because if I'm using them for myself, I know I'm the querent, right? If I'm reading for somebody else, I know they're the querent. So I don't intend to do like a grand tableau with this, so it would be less important to me. They shuffle beautifully. This feels like really gorgeous, good playing card stock. They shuffle really beautiful. I am not doing anything with the edges because you can't see it. It is slightly whiter, obviously, than the tone of this. That will, I think, patina down to being very beautiful with it on its own. I do have a Tombow that kind of does the same close. My memory card got filled up and I'm not entirely sure where it ended, but regardless, I think that allowing this system to be its own system and then layering in some of the playing card divination things that I utilize, I think this will work really well. So, but making the primary system the system that's here, right? Because that's going to be, it's not meant to coexist perfectly with the way that I read playing cards. So I would put that system first and then layer in any other playing card messages that I would want to do there. So I'm excited to play with it and take a look at it. I think that it's going to be beautiful to work with. It's beautiful to look at. It feels like Cartomancer, not just in the visuals, but in the actual system that has been created here, and that's really beautiful to see, and that's the kind of thing that really excites me. So beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and if you have this deck and have used it, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you enjoy Cartomancy as well, if it's something that you enjoy layering in, or if you're just strictly more of a modern tarot reader, I suppose, or oracle reader, and just kind of what your preferences are. I'll be interested to see in the comments. Have a wonderful rest of your day.